on, everybody get set, let's go. It's the next episode. It's the Premium Pete Show. News, interviews, all of the info. Listen up, it's the Premium Pete Show. If you want the scoop in the low, down low, listen to the show, cause Milk said so. Fuck what you heard, better act like you know. Miss Lissa knows. It's the Premium Pete Show.
Homeboy, I came to party. Hey, your girl was looking at me.
Hey.
She's a haggler. No, I'm not tagging her, but you don't want them boys to come over and start asking you.
Yep, ask them.
What you wanna do, nigga? Nothing. What you trying to do, nigga?
Hey.
What you wanna do? Hey, Illmind, what you trying to do? Get
what
it.
you trying to do? Nope, I need a few drinks.
Yeah, you definitely need
before
some.
I start.
Hey, he said he need a few drinks.
What is your drink of choice, Illmind?
You know what? For a long time, I'll fucking put myself on the spot. I'm from Jersey, so
okay, ain't nothing wrong with that.
So in my clubbing days, it was Long Island.
Long Island.
Yes.
Wait, so you're from Jersey, but the drink of choice is the Long Island.
It's the Long Island. I used to come to New York City to go clubbing, and it was Long Island. But I stopped that a long time ago. I'm not really much of a drinker, but it'll either be whiskey on the rocks. I'll go Jameson on the rocks, or lately it's been red wine.
That's my thing.
I'm a red wine kind of guy now.
Which one? Cab or Merlot?
Cab is cool. Merlot. I'm a fan of Merlot.
I like a Malbec.
Malbecs are good too.
That's my shit.
Malbec may have a baby. If
Malbec, is it Mal?
Malbec, yeah.
I'm black. It's
No, it's not
Mal.
wrong.
Is it
Mal.
Is it all or Al?
Malbec.
You know, one thing that's
Potato
funny about
potato.
wine is I'm a big fan of wine, and the reason why I like wine is, and I tell people too, it's like I'll have people like come out and like take me out to eat or take me for a drink, and I'm like, what do you want? You know, and like they give me the look like, motherfucker, I'll order you whatever you want, and I'm like, give me a glass of red wine, and they're like, what the fuck? Stop! Like, come on, tell me what you want, and I'm like, no, I want a glass of red wine. And the reason why I like wine is one is I love to eat, and I think wine is so beautiful with eating.
Yeah.
But more importantly, I don't like anything to take over me to a point where I don't know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
And the thing with wine is it makes you so smooth and like, you know, like
Yes.
when you're like if I'm tipsy on wine or I'm fucked up on wine, there's no way someone's shaving my eyebrows off.
Now, one time I got too drunk off of red wine.
See, that's a different story.
No, I'm lying. I had a couple of tequila shots, but still, when I threw up, most of it was red wine.
Yeah, I don't want to hear about fucking throwing up. Anyway, listen,
I was drunk off the wine.
Welcome back to
Internets.
another episode. We got Illmind in the building. Producer extraordinaire. I will say this.
Musical genius.
Entrepreneur.
Oh my God, thank you,
I got to
guys.
say entrepreneur, and I'm going to go into it right off the fucking bat.
Let's do it.
Most people don't know, when they think of Illmind, they think of producer.
Yeah.
Think about somebody making beats, somebody creating music. And also, I want to get into, I know that you have done some things with movies now.
Yeah.
But not yet. Hold on to that.
Okay.
The entrepreneur part is Ryan Leslie. Why don't you tell people about, you know, some of the stuff that Ryan Leslie created as an app and that you got involved in?
Wait a minute. I feel like for the internets that don't know him, he should do a quick like spiel, let us know him, and then go. Can I
Spiel.
please?
No, there's no spiel.
No
We'll
spiel?
go over
A quick.
each song.
Come on, he has an elevator.
You know what I
pitch.
mean? I work with Jesus. I work
Hello.
with Jay-Z. I
Come
work with Lady Gaga. I work with... No, I'm just kidding.
Got songs with the devil
You know,
and Jesus singing on the chorus.
I mean, listen, it and, you know, I'm sure we'll get into it later with the discography and all that, but I've had many stages of my career, so, I mean, I can just choose, like, an era of Illmind, right? So, like, you know... When I first started, it was like, oh, Illmind is known for working with Little Brother and coming up with Ninth Wonder. And, you know, me and Ninth Wonder trading beats on AOL, Gmail, AIM and shit. And, like, learning from each other. So it was like that era of Illmind. And then it was, you know, working with G-Unit and 50 Cent and being with Shamani Excel as my manager. And then getting my foot in the door that way. And then from there it was, you know, records with Kanye West. And then Drake, and then J. Cole, and then, you know, Future, Gucci, movies, all that. So,
Gaga.
Yeah, I mean, I really have been kind of like, I've been through many different layers and milestones in my career. So when I get asked that question, it's always funny. It's not funny, but it's a little awkward for me because, like, I don't even really know what to say, you know? And it's weird because there's so much more I want to accomplish. I feel like after all that, I feel like I'm only just getting started.
Yeah,
so.
no, it's almost like social. First of all, congrats on that type of
Thank
list.
you.
I think that just helped build the resume even more. But the thing that it's almost like social. And when I say that is, picture someone taking pictures with somebody or being around different people like the ones you're mentioning. And then it's like people look like they think everything's okay, not knowing that in between some of those productions that you were probably still struggling. People see the beauty, like, oh, he worked with Kanye, I remember, like, I tell the story all the time, with the Combat Jack show, when we were when we started to really progress, I was working at the bakery. And, I was working on a night job, delivering bread to a bread truck, just dropping stuff off, like big boxes and shit. Anyway, make a long story short, I was with Big Daddy Kane, my idol, one of my idols, and he's talking with me, gives me his phone number. He's like, yo, Pete, give me a call. We'll build on some things, da-da-da. And then I literally had to change into a fucking, jogger pants and go into the bakery, right, 10, 15, 20 minutes right after that. So as I'm walking throughout the bakery, one of the guys I was working for was like, where the fuck are you? Get the semolina bread. And I'm like, in my mind, I was like, I was just with Big Daddy Kane. Who the fuck cares about you?
Yeah.
But for most people to see that, knowing that, that comes out, and they see the pictures, they're like, oh, Combat Jack Show, Pete and Reg and all these people are with Big Daddy. Everything's okay.
Right.
People think like that.
Yeah.
So, but we'll go into that because I know your journey took a while, even when you were doing things.
Yeah.
But let's go to the Ryan Leslie, like I was telling you about, and what he did entrepreneurial-wise that you got involved in.
Yeah. So back in I want to go back as far as 2011. One day I woke up and I had this idea, and I said to myself, okay, what would happen if I released a drum kit? So for those who don't know what a drum kit is, it's basically like a digital download that you can get on the internet, and it's a folder that has, a bunch of drum sounds that you can use for producers. So producers using Fruity Loops or MPCs or Ableton, all the software, you wonder where do they get the sounds, where they get them on the internet, right? And they download them, they buy them, etc. So around 2011 was around the time where producers weren't releasing their own drum kits. You either, you had knockoff drum kits like the DJ Premier drum kit or the J Dilla drum kit or even a Manny Fresh drum kit. And none of this shit was legal. It was all just in this underground circuit, and they were knockoffs. So in my mind, I was just like, well, I wonder if I have enough fans, producer fans, who would purchase an Illmind drum kit. So what I did was I put together and I made my own drum sounds, right, from scratch. And I put it on my blog site at the time. And I thought of a price point. I was like, well, $20. I would pay $20 for this. And it had 150 sounds in it. And I put it out and I didn't really think anything of it. And I woke up the next morning and I looked at my PayPal account and it was at least $2,500 that I didn't know was going to be in there. So I was like, yo, this shit is crazy. So then the next day, it's selling even more. And then I'm like, damn, this is turning into something. So then I eventually released Volume 2. And then the sales tripled when I released Volume 2.
It was more sounds, more money?
More sounds, more money. Yeah, exactly.
Question. When you say you made the beats from the sounds from scratch, so you're banging on the drum.
It's a combination of banging on stuff, pause, but then digging into records and manipulating sounds and making them into my own. It's almost like painting a picture and blending colors and using paintbrush techniques, but I'm still buying the paint I'm still getting the paint from somewhere. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So I'm just making them into tools. So anyway, I did that. The sales skyrocketed, and then I told myself, well, I need a store. I can't just put a PayPal buy now button on my blog. That's not going to work. So then I migrated the business to a program called Shopify, which allows small businesses to release product, digital and physical. And that was around the time Shopify was kind of a couple years in. So I joined that and I migrated everything. And then I just started to release more product, better artwork, more, promo material. And that was when social media was really starting to grow. Everyone was on Instagram and Twitter by then and Facebook. So as that business started to grow, that was around the time I started working with Ryan Leslie. And that was also around the time that he started developing his superphone technology, which, long story short, allows for you to connect with your customers in a more personal way. So instead of, releasing a product and promoting on your Twitter, right, you can take this list of people who have purchased from you and continue to sell to them directly, and you do it all on your phone. So, they're getting text messages from you and saying, oh shit, Illmind texted me that there's a new drum kit coming out. So imagine texting, 5,000 people all over the globe. They're getting a text from Illmind, and then I'm replying back to every single one of them with the automated system in Superphone. And so you can imagine, if 5,000 people get a text, 2,500 will reply.
Right.
And out of those 2,500, 50% of them are going to buy something.
That's so dope.
And this was your core audience. Now what else were you selling on there? You were selling beats. What else were you selling?
So I
Merch,
wasn't
right?
selling beats.
Not beats, but the kits.
Yeah, it was drum kits, sample loops. I had some merch on there. That was pretty much it. And then I incorporated some other shit too. Like, I started doing this thing called, was it the feedback? It was Sunday. Every Sunday I would have producers submit a beat, and then I would go on Ustream and then critique their beat live on Ustream. And they would pay to it was like a pay to play thing, but it was at a very low price point.
But
so.
where did you come up with these things? Because one thing I like about you is that not everyone is doing this type of stuff, and
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to.
Well, let me rephrase that.
Yeah.
No one is doing this type of stuff.
Okay, there we go.
In
See?
a very humble way.
Talk that shit.
I'm not even gonna listen. No one was doing this shit before I did.
Well, let's even go even further because, and I don't know if you want to reveal some numbers, but I think sometimes it's sexy to do that. I remember you showing me one time about because Ryan Leslie has shown me. No.
Yeah,
I
remember that.
Let's always try to think
I'm
I dig
ready
in
for
people's
it.
pockets. No, but it's inspiring. You made millions off of this stuff, right? No?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is...
You had them try sticking
Maybe.
for
Well,
70 cents.
A million?
No.
A million?
I mean, the IRS pretty much
Yeah,
took
they
most
took
of
it
it.
all.
So,
Allegedly.
You ain't got nothing.
No, but what I'm saying
Brooklyn
is
niggas after you.
it's a hustle
Yep.
that is very successful
Mm-hmm.
that most people may not even know that you do. Your core audience
Right.
may know. And it's funny because I was speaking to, Illmind off air, listen, I was telling him how, one thing I like about Illmind is that he's humble. But I think a lot of people may not know. They may have heard of him, but they may not know his work.
Right.
But he seems to have an audience that is core to believing in him, and I think that's more important because sometimes I think people have 1 million followers, they really only have 1,000 supporters.
Yeah.
So having a strong core audience is something that you have, and I admire that.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. And it means a lot. And so, I think in my mind, the reason why I do the feedback thing and the drum kits and all this stuff is I'm not driven to do that stuff for the sole purpose of, maximizing and making as much money as possible. It's all shit that I feel like I would want as a producer and stuff that's just fun. So the reason why I started the beat critique thing was because I would probably buy into something like that as a producer, and it's a lot of fun to do. I enjoy all this shit. So I would never do something if, number one, I didn't think it was fun, or two, I didn't think it was valuable to my community.
Now,
what I mean?
now let me ask you something because I'm not a producer. People who buy these, what are they called?
It's like drum kits.
Drum
yeah.
kits.
Yeah.
Have you seen some success out of that from them? Meaning, or were they able to do things with them that really has helped them propel?
Yeah. I mean, over the years, the emails and the feedback and the comments have increased. Every day, I get emails every day like, "Yo, I love the kits. I love this kit. It's helped me so much." And, like young kids, just 14, 13,
Sure.
15 years old, like, Illmind, you're a big inspiration. Like, I learned how to make beats last year. And when I copped your drum kits, it elevated my beats to the next level. And I'm so there's different, everyone's being impacted differently. You have kids that are getting their confidence boost and
Sure.
really being able to believe in themselves because they're using better sounds. And then you have the other side, which is the more semi-established to established producers who are using it. So, I mean, at this point, The kits have pretty much appeared in every single pop and urban hip hop music release for the past 4 years. So like it's on Kendrick's album, all over Kendrick's. It's all over Bruno Mars's album. Even like what's her name? Taylor Swift's last album.
Like, how do you know though? Like, how do you know?
Because I made the sound, so like I
just know.
I know,
that's so hot.
Because I'm just like a scientist with it, so I'm like, yeah, that's my snare from.
He smells it. He smells
from
it,
this. Yeah. So it's creating this sort of like wave in modern day music, and it's really I never would have imagined that would get to that point.
One second. How did Illmind come? Where the fuck is
right?
Illmind?
That's why I love it. Come on,
The name?
Yeah. Where was that from?
So one day, when I started first making beats, they were terrible, by the way, but I was making beats, and my homie, this guy Phil, Philly Blunt, DJ Philly Blunt, that's what he went by back then.
Wait, what about DJ White Owl?
Was that?
Not again.
Yeah. So he heard my beats one day, and he was like, "Yo, man, like these beats are sick. Like you got a sick brain, man. You have like a sick mind. Like what's wrong with you?" And I was like, "Yeah. It's just like I don't know." And then he said Illmind, and then it just once he said it was just like Illmind, and then it just stuck.
Yeah.
And like I started an AOL email account. And I named it Illmind, and then the number. I'm not going to give the address away because I still use it. But yeah, so I made that, and then I just started naming all my shit Illmind, and then that's how the name stuck. So
how did you fall in love with hip hop though? Like, because you're not traditionally like the
Filipino.
So,
like you're not
Filipinos.
that person.
Yo,
from the islands of the Pacific.
Building on her, and you're from Jersey.
From Jersey.
Born and raised. Building on her question, it's funny too, because I dated a Filipino girl growing up, and their mothers.
I think you told me that.
Their mothers are crazy, man.
Yeah, they're
like,
insane.
there's a comedian out there, I don't know his fucking name, but he was so spot on because I'll never forget, she played volleyball. And when she came home, she was all sore on her hands, her kneecap. So my mother would put Vicks on everything.
Vicks.
I don't know if Filipinos do that.
They do that all day.
Like when growing up, my mother said, put it on your chest. She was putting it on her kneecaps, or fucking...
Yeah, Vicks solves everything. Just throw the Vicks on it.
Yeah.
And more importantly...
Icy hot.
And answer the question of how you fell in love with hip-hop. But more importantly, the reason why I say that, being a Filipino, man, there's so many things I know about that culture. They don't really believe... And you stepping outside and following a dream.
Not at all.
The fuck is a dream?
Not at all. I mean, listen. Like, my generation is like we're born in America, so most of my generation's parents are from the Philippines, right? So they came to this country with following the American dream, just like any other immigrant, right? So they came here and they're like, well, most of them who were coming here were in the medical industry. So it was like nurses and doctors. Like, I bet your ex's mom was a nurse.
Yeah, short hair, glasses.
Short hair, nurse, glasses, probably 4'7", 4'7".
Yeah.
Feeds, yes, it's like clockwork. So they came to America and they're like, well, yeah, I want my kids to either do like, nursing or like accounting or, that whole thing. So it's really not common at all. So for me, my dad was a musician, right? So I think that had a big influence on me.
He was a guitarist, right?
Yeah, he played guitar. So, I just grew up with instruments all over the house. Just like my uncles played instruments, and so I was just surrounded by it. And so, that had an influence, but coming up and deciding to do this full time was definitely very, very tough. I mean, it took years for my parents to even like really understand what it was, So
how explain that? How and when did they believe? Because I know a lot of people, not only music, that had to convince their parents of what would work. Even like I have a friend the kid who bought Ewing Athletics.
Yeah.
A Jewish kid, you know what I mean? Like his family, I believe, was in hotels. Not to put all his business out there, but he used all his money to fucking buy the license of Ewing and bring this brand back. And his parents are like, "What the fuck? Like, what are you doing?"
Yeah.
And it turned out to be successful, and it turned out that I think it's 5 years running that it's back now.
Yeah.
But the point I'm trying to make is, he had to convince him that.
Yeah.
When did you convince your mother and father?
I remember the day, and it wasn't like this one thing and then like everything changed. But I think the first moment where it was like, oh, for my parents, like, oh, okay, maybe this is something. Was I think it was 2007 or 2006. Scratch magazine, rest in peace. did an interview on me, and I had a 1-page spread in Scratch magazine, and Dr. Dre was on the front cover, and that was when they were talking about detox, which is funny.
They're still talking.
Yeah, still talking about it. And so I remember like going to like CVS or something in Jersey, and I saw like the rack, and I saw and I bought and I copped it. And I brought it home, and I showed my mom and my dad, and they were like mega happy. They're like, "Oh my God, you got your thing, whatever." Dr. Dre, because they know Dr. Dre, right? They know Dre. And then the other time was when I was taking my mom to go see my brother one day, and we went to like CVS. Obviously, like, again, CVS. We went to, it was like up the block, like by my mom's house in Bloomfield, and like it's just like a super like quiet Jersey neighborhood, right? So it's very neighborhoody. And we went into CVS, and like I'm with my mom, and we're waiting in line because she had to buy something, and like the guy at the cash register knew me. He's like, "Oh my God, Illmind, what? Whoa, what? Like, what are you doing here?" I'm like, "Yeah, you know, I live here." And my mom was just like looking like, "Wow, my son is like."
She's happy that you don't have to be a nurse.
My son is a D-list celebrity. Wow, the cashier
Mama
knows
thought you
him.
was she was
So
like,
she
hold
thought I was
on.
a shit, you know, and that was like a little validation for me. Like, yeah, you know, cashier knows me.
I'm
You
in
know what I
these
mean?
streets.
I'm out here.
Yeah, no, make
So-
some. Did you have a CVS rewards card?
I did not. I should have.
I don't think they had those back in the day.
Oh, okay. And I'm saying it was there so many times.
Is it just you and your brother? Or do you have other siblings?
Just one brother. Yeah.
What does he do?
He's an accountant.
He's a nurse.
Yeah, no,
listen.
close.
My bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Shout out to my brother. He's my older brother, 2 years older than me. He's an accountant over at KPMG. He's doing this thing, but he's got music too. Like he plays piano and shit, and like he has it in him in his blood too. So
we'll go back. We'll bounce around. That's what we do. You know, just of the journey of Illmind.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, Just Blaze became a friend of yours.
Yep.
One thing I love and I experienced and seen over the years is he calls on you to do things. Like he has like a crew of people that he calls. Mm-hmm. You know, I know he called, maybe it's Arab and you and I don't know who else it is, but like Just is like the conductor.
He's a conductor.
And he knows people well enough to get them involved in production credits and everything. Yep. You know, tell us about some things that you worked with Just that he has called on you before.
Yeah. Well, first time I met Just was at an event called Beat Society. I think it was back in 2008 or something, and so I met him there, and we kind of like built from there. But I guess the most recent one was the Slaughterhouse album.
Yes.
So this was summer of 2013. I can't believe that was 4 years ago.
It should probably be shelved.
Crazy. I don't know. I'm knocking on wood because I still want it to come out.
Yeah,
because it's amazing. But yeah, I mean, listen, he just was working on the Slaughterhouse album with the guys, and he put together just like a Voltron fucking team of producers, and we worked over at his old studio in Harlem, and it was me, Just Blaze, Cardiac, Justice League, A-Rab Music, and then Frequency was like popping in and out. So like that was like the crew, and Q-Tip came a few times. So that was the crew.
What did you particularly do for them? Just what you do, or was there a certain thing that you would?
It was like me in one room, Justice League in another room, and then like Just Blaze and Cardiac in another room, and we would just like go back and forth. So like we're all on our rigs, our computers and keyboards, and we're just making stuff, and then like you would have like, you know, Crooked Eye and Joe Budden in the A room, like tracking vocals with Parks and Q-Tip. And then like me and Just Blaze are like in the B room making beats and like trading ideas. So it was just very much like a super creative environment. And we did it for a month. And we pretty much finished the project after that. So
you know, Just Blaze is like a coach. That's,
for sure.
And we all look up to him. But
yeah,
he is fucking like a coach.
Yeah,
and he knows when to make the call. And you're his like third base coach. And no disrespect to anybody else, saying like Justice League and all you other producers are very talented. Yeah. But what I'm saying is, it takes a lot for not only you guys and for him to be able to put your egos aside. Not saying you. I don't even think you have a fucking ego.
Yeah, no, I'm an asshole.
Okay,
Fuck
you
that.
are. You are.
I'm just kidding.
But what I mean by that is like to create greatness like that.
Absolutely, and he's looked me out so many times. You know, like Pete. Like when I was doing my little producer, showcase or whatever, you brought him through, and it was just this whole connection. So like he's he's very much a supporter on the other side, on the other stuff too. And like I not only look up to him, but like I appreciate his willingness to just go out of his way and do certain things. You know what I mean? So shout to Just Blaze. He really is a conductor, man.
Yeah, most definitely.
And that wasn't just a small producer showcase.
Oh,
the
yeah,
BLAP
it was cool.
popping.
That shit was popping.
Like, don't just do that.
No.
Like,
now, you know what?
The BLAP is the reason why Just Blaze and Swiss Beats did what they did. That's what I feel.
True.
Speaking of BLAP,
it is true.
Now you create. First of all, I have to. I'm giving all these shout outs tonight, but I have to give a shout out to A King because he was hosting BLAP for a while.
Yep.
And I'll tell you one thing. A King sometimes he's a fuckyberg, but I will say this: he's a very big supporter of you.
Yeah, I love it.
He's always champion for you. Always, behind closed doors too.
Yeah.
It also led me to want to know more about you back then.
Yeah.
And I attended a couple of BLAPs but how did that even get created? What does that mean?
Yeah, I mean, so that was that came around the same time that I released the drum kit. So BLAP, B.L.A.P, it just stands for Beats, Love, Alcohol, Party. Mm-hmm. And I just thought of this idea where it's like, well, what if I took a handful of music producers, some up and coming, and we just like set up our laptops and just play our beats, and that's it, right? And it sounds like a simple concept, but when you put that together in a venue with like a bar and then like a sound system, it just, the energy becomes something else, you know what I mean? And so that's what it was. And we did our first one at this bar in the Lower East Side, and then it just, every new one we did, it just grew and grew and grew, and till eventually we ended up doing it at SOBs. I think that was the last one we did. That was in 2000, what was that, 13 or 12? The last BLAP showcase we did at SOBs, and it was like me, Just Blaze, ASAP Ty, Static Selecta, Buck Wild. It was a crazy thing, and it was completely sold out. Like we sold the whole night out, and it was just producers playing beats. So that was my whole thing. I just wanted to create a producer thing.
Yeah, and one thing I liked is when I was there, men and women, and people of all different ages, what I liked is they would listen to beats. Now, sometimes some of these producers would play beats that they, made for different artists.
Yeah.
And then you would be like, oh, shit, that's dope. That's the guy who made it. Because sometimes you don't even know it.
Yep.
You know who these people are. I mean, of course, the famed producers, but sometimes you don't know. And then they would play regular beats. And what I would love is people would nod their heads in that room, and you would hear people talk like, yo, I could see 50 on that.
Exactly.
Or, yo, I could see, I could see Fab on this.
Yeah.
And people just thinking of who they could see on these beats. And I was like, yo, this is a fucking nerdy fucking beat junkie
really
fucking
is.
party.
It really is.
But I'm fucking with it.
Yeah, that's what it turned to. That's what it was. And like it eventually got to a point where like A&Rs were coming through. Mm-hmm. Like Riggs Morales came through to a couple, and like a couple others, and they would just come and scout. And I would imagine that probably opportunities were happened because of that showcase. But it was just a fun thing, man. And like I said, it was just something that I would always have wanted coming up. And so I just created it, and
Why did you
happened.
stop?
We stopped. I think a number of reasons. One was I don't think we got to the point where we properly monetized it for that to make sense for us to keep doing it. But also the SOB show is just so big, it just ended up being a thing where it's like, man, we got to make this shit big every time. So I made a mistake. So the last one we did was actually in LA. After the SOBs one, which the LA one was also sold out. And it was, it was me, DJ Khalil, S1, who produced Power for Kanye, Denon Porter, Dr. Dre came through. It was
That's
fucking
crazy.
legendary night. Like,
That's crazy.
It was, I can't even begin
What
to
did he
explain.
do? Did he put the plug
he
in?
didn't know. He was supposed to play beats, and he decided to just chill, which we were totally fine with. I mean,
Right.
what are we going to say? Fuck you, Dre? Like, no. He came through. And once he stepped into the building, it was just like, in my mind, I was like, yo, Drake came to my event. This is crazy. And then afterwards, we like went into the studio with him, and it just, that trip was crazy. But so that was the last
You can't
one.
just run over that. How was it? How was
Alice was there with us.
Shout out to Atlas.
Yeah.
But how was it working with Dr. Dre?
Dre is everything you think he will be when you first meet him. He's like first of all, he's mega intimidating. Number one, his energy is just so like, it's aggressive but very relaxed at the same time. But when you're with him in person, it's like, this is fucking Dr. Dre, like in front of me. You know what I mean? Like we're breathing the same air. Yeah. So just that thought alone is crazy. And then when you get into like creating with him and for him, it becomes this whole other thing. But we had a really cool experience with him. We were in the studio, and this was before the end of the Compton, the movie came out. Straight Outta Compton came out, and he was basically showing us like demo takes of the movie before the preview, before everything. And so it was just surreal. He showed us the scene where Eazy-E was like, he was in the hospital bed,
right.
and he was like crying, right? So he showed us the raw footage, like with the numbers on the bottom left-hand corner. Right. And that scene was actually like a full one-take scene, like 5 minutes long, of him crying, devastated. Obviously in the movie it was much shorter. So like shit like that, like he showed us raw footage, and I'm standing there and I'm thinking to myself like, yo, I'm sitting here in Dre's studio and Dre is showing us the NWA movie, the raw version, like what is life right now? You know what I mean? So, being around him, it's always something mega epic that happens.
Tell the listeners about, you worked with Kanye, how that happened. What song was that right off there? Was that the Good Music album?
Yeah, it was the Cruel Summer album. Mm-hmm. I produced The Morning on there with a million rappers on it.
Yeah, I know, right? But how did that happen for you?
So that came about through my homie Rhymefest, who's from Chicago. For those who don't know, he's one of Kanye's good friends and a collaborative writer. So the short story of that is basically in 2010, me and Sky Zoo, shout to Sky Zoo, me and Sky Zoo released an album called Live from the Tape Deck. Mm-hmm. And on that album, we had a feature verse from Rhymefest. So back in 2010, when we were working on that album, we got Rhymefest on the verse. I was able to kind of build a rapport with Fest. And so from 2010, after doing that thing with him, we kind of kept in touch, right? So I would hit him up every so often. He would hit me like, yo, I'm working on my project. Like, you got any beats, whatever? And I would always just send him beats. So then fast forward to, I want to say late 2011 or early 2012. He's like, yo, I'm going to be in the lab with Kanye. Like, just send me beats. You know what I mean? Send me beats. So I sent him a bunch of shit. And I think it was August of 2012, which was a couple months before Cruel Summer came out. He hit me up and he's like, yo, I'm in Hawaii with Kanye right now. I played one of these beats that you sent me and Pusha T jumped on it. Mm-hmm. So I'll keep you posted. So I was like, all right, bet, we got a Pusha T joint. Cool.
Nice.
So then a couple hours later, he hits me back and he's like, yo, Kanye just laid his verse down. I think Raekwon's about to jump on here. 2 Chainz. He's like, it's becoming a thing, whatever. I was like, oh shit, like it's getting real. So then I had sent him like the audio stems, right, to the song, and we start feeding back and forth or whatever. And then I get a text from Shay Pope, who is with Good Music, and he's like, yo, Ill, what's up, man? He's like, yo, I think Kanye wants to use this song we just did for the Cruel Summer album. So I was like, all right, dope. Yeah, Rhymefest told me that you guys were recording. All right, dope. So then in my mind, I'm like, all right, yeah, this is like real. This is about to happen. Mm-hmm. So then a couple hours later, I get an email from someone from, I think it was Def Jam. And she was like, hello, Illmind. So we just need your attorney info and your publishing info for this record you have on Kanye's new album, blah, blah. So once I got that email in my mind, I'm like, all right, cool. I'm on this album. Like, this shit happened. So that was it. And then from there, the album came out like, I think a month later. And that was it. I sent all the files out. And then Mike Dean and Travis Scott ended up doing some co-production on it. Kanye changed up a few things. And then it just ended up being like a dope posse cut.
Now, do you feel that, you've done a lot of work, but do you feel like The Morning gave you like the recognition you deserved?
I think The Morning, it's funny because I think The Morning was a milestone in terms of, okay, what is Ill doing post G-Unit and like where's he going from there? Because at that point it was like the drum kits were booming, starting to boom. And, I was doing a little bit of work here and there, but I think the Kanye thing kind of put me back in this light of like, okay, like he's current, you know what I mean? Like he's here to stay.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So I think in a way it definitely pushed me forward to a certain extent. But it's crazy when you talk about the recognition thing, because there's so many levels to that shit, man.
Yeah.
Like, you know how many producers now that you guys have if I said their names, you guys would have no idea who these guys are. These guys have 100 followers on Instagram, and these guys have produced like the biggest fucking records you guys can ever hear. You know what I mean? And so there's this like, it's a very fascinating discussion, because what dictates recognition? I mean, are we talking like Swizz Beatz, Timbaland, Neptune's recognition, or are we talking Metro Boomin, Mike Will recognition, or even Boy Wonder recognition? Because Boy Wonder has just as many hit records as Mike Will, but for the most part, no one knows who Boy Wonder is, right? For the most part, no one knows who 40 is.
Now
and then there's other levels, you know what I mean? So
we know
it's just
40 because of Drake.
Right, but your everyday person doesn't know 40.
Right.
Like, my mom doesn't know 40, but my mom knows Kanye.
I see what
my
you're
mom
saying.
knows Swizz Beatz. My mom knows Timbaland.
Right.
But they're also artists.
Exactly.
But and not saying you're not an artist, but
Right.
but keep in mind, you in this day and age, your art also, you have to brand yourself too.
Exactly.
And to me, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like you're the type of guy that you don't come off as this cocky trying to like be a popular guy.
Right.
You're really trying to perfect your craft.
Yeah.
And I feel like, don't get me wrong, again, you have built a great audience of people that fuck with you. But when I say like recognition too, it's funny because I feel like when you say Mike Will made it, and they say what, Boy Wonder you were saying?
Yeah.
You think about it, Mike Will made it has every type of track with Mike Will made it in the beginning.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised how much branding that is.
Oh,
You
yeah.
look like Just Blaze.
Oh, yeah.
When people hear that Just Blaze.
Oh, yeah.
Or you hear like, Justice League.
Yeah.
Like think about it, those things really mean. So you don't hear a Boy Wonder, right?
Yeah.
You don't hear a 40, right?
Right.
You don't hear an Illmind.
Yeah.
You know?
Not yet.
Not yet. Oh, you got something new coming. Is it going to be like a Russian girl saying Illmind?
Yeah, it is.
Illmind.
No, it's a Filipino accent one.
Oh, really?
Illmind. No, just kidding. That's not even Filipino. It's like Korean.
Now, take us through.
But also, too, it's
Yeah.
like Chad Hugo. Like, Chad Hugo's fucking Filipino, bro.
Yeah.
Like, people don't know that. People don't know Chad.
Yo, actually,
Chad did everything.
From the
Well,
Neptunes,
he did a
right?
lot.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
That's a fact. He did
Dude.
everything.
hold on. Years ago.
But Pharrell was the face.
Yeah.
That was the
right.
face. So I think that's where the conversation is interesting, because it's like, how it depends on if the producer is wanting that limelight, or maybe they're content with, like 40 comes off as the type of guy who's content with where he is.
Sure.
Like he's not trying to be
Talented.
the guy in the videos and the shit, the 40 produced by 40. Like, he's not trying to be that guy. So there's no right or wrong. I just think it's a very fascinating conversation.
I think it's iller to be behind the scenes and get all the money.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
because you don't have everybody in your business. You can still
True.
go to the store, take your kids to school, chill. That's why with me,
Well, it's
I have
over for
no
me because
problem
I can't go to
being behind the
CVS.
scenes.
So
Like,
I
they should
can't.
be
What'd you say?
endorsing you.
I can't go to CVS. So it's
Yeah, I know,
over for
apparently.
me.
Oh, you're a
Apparently,
check.
now let me ask you something. Years ago, you went on record promoting the fuck out of this guy. Are you still promoting Drunken Tiger?
Yeah.
Now you told
Was
you
they your
told
alter ego?
No, Drunken Tiger. Tell the people who don't know who the fuck Drunken Tiger
is this super legendary rapper from Korea, South Korea. He's like the Jay-Z of South Korea, basically. And he is an amazing person, amazing rapper.
He raps in English?
He raps in English and Korean.
Okay.
And his wife, who goes by the name of Yoon Murray, aka Tasha, they're both English speaking too. She's like the Lauryn Hill of Korea. Like they're out of here. Like when I flew out to Korea, when I was working with them heavy, we would literally be in like a van and go to Starbucks, and the whole block would shut down. You know what I mean? Like billboards of them, like in like what the equivalent of Times Square would be.
Right.
So they're like mega stars, like out of here. But like very, very humble. So
what is
like,
he rapping about, Drunken Tiger?
He's very deep. He almost reminds me of like Eminem in terms of like, the deep emotions that he kind of portrays.
He's venting.
Yeah, he's venting. You know what I mean? He's like anti blah 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 blah.
Right.
So yeah, shout to Drunken Tiger and Yoon Murray. Like I haven't.
They're like the Jay-Z and Beyonce.
Pretty much.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, it just.
lit.
But the game changed out there. You know, it's different now. It's like it's so driven in pop now out there in Korea. Like K-pop has taken over. They're still like in the mix of the K-pop stuff, but like they're considered like old school now. You
Do
know
Koreans
what I mean?
support each other in the hip hop world?
I want to say yes. I want to say yeah. I believe they do. You know what I mean? Like,
Have you worked with Chad?
Chad Hugo? Oh, no, I haven't. No, I haven't. Not yet. I would love to. But yeah, I think Koreans definitely support each other. I've seen like shout to Dumbfounded and my homegirl Aquafina. You know, she's in the new was it the Ocean's 8? There's like a new Ocean's 11 movie coming out, so she's in that. And so yeah, I mean, I think they support each other.
Because you know how black people, we're not always supportive in the hip
It's true.
hop world.
Well, you know,
we don't spill over into our yellow brothers and sisters.
Well, listen, for any Filipino listeners that are listening, is there a Filipino rapper that maybe we don't know of?
Right.
Yeah,
You know?
his name is Apple the App, and he's
what the fuck sounds like it's on iTunes.
and he's 1/3 of the Black Eyed Peas. So
Really?
There it is.
Oh,
Yep.
that was the
My
one.
man Apple.
Yes, that's hot.
Yeah,
Wow.
me and Apple just did last year before Trump became president. Me and I had the honor of rocking at the White House with Apple. We did this. It was like a Pacific Islander like cultural weekend, and we got called in, and I DJ'd a little bit and performed with Apple. So shout to Apple.
I like the Black Eyed Peas better before they got Fergie anyway.
Yeah.
Like when they was just Will.i.am, Apple, and Taboo.
Let me
that
say,
was my shit.
let me not to spoil, but I was just at Will.i.am studio in LA. His studio is like a fucking. I can't even say anything about it because I signed an NDA.
Oh, he's hot.
But it's crazy, and so they're working on a project.
With her too?
I mean, I've sat there and listened.
I mean, she's
to
cool and everything, but
shout
I
to my
like
man JJ, Will's guy. But me and Atlas literally sat there and listened to like 4 hours straight
That's
of
so dope.
Black Eyed Peas music. And when I tell you guys what they have in the stash,
that's the joint, that's the jam.
Oh.
It's still my stuff.
listen, they're gonna come
working
back
on
with
things.
some shit.
They're working
yeah.
on things.
I'm
Now,
impressed.
let me ask you, from being Filipino and meeting certain people, do you ever think like people judge the way, say, just being Filipino and not really your craft yet? You ever feel that way?
You know what? It's funny because I never felt that way.
Yeah.
I think the only real comment that I got was from Sha Money XL back in 07, 06 when I first signed with him. He was president of G-Unit at the time. Yep. And when I remember the first time I met him, the first thing he said to me was like, yo, man, he's like, what do you smoke, man? You're like, your beats are crazy. You're fire. You're like the Filipino fire. He called me. He literally called me Filipino fire. So that was the only like comment in terms of recognizing my nationality. But outside of that, luckily, I've never really gotten like any comments. I'm sure people have like met me for the first time, like, oh shit, this dude's like, he's Asian. Like that's cool, or that's whatever it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's never been like a negative thing.
And I think people like Sha Money, executives like that, are looking for something different.
Totally.
You know what I mean? And I think that they pride themselves on finding something different, to bring to the table.
Yeah, and it works to your advantage too. I think for me, I guess maybe when I meet people or when I've met them, like I'm more memorable, I guess, because it's like, oh, he's like that Asian dude, because there's not really
Asian.
too many. Right, thank you. But there's not too many of us really in the hip hop producers in general. So I think that counts.
You get
probably.
groupie love?
Yeah, to a certain extent. It's mostly nerds though. I got a lot of nerds. I love my fans.
Got
man.
some
We're
girls
nerds.
popping up at the telly like,
Yeah, no.
Beat
I'm
on
about to
this.
give you that llmind. You ain't never
right.
had a brain like this.
Now let me ask you something. The first time you met 50, did you do any work with him in studio, or was everything was outside?
You know what? He never. No, I never worked in the studio with him, but we've been like we've met up multiple times about different things, and I guess the closest thing to that would be me and him kind of like in a room, and I'm just playing him beats and he's playing me shit that he recorded. And, the experience with 50 in the studio is like, again, it's kind of similar to Dre, where it's like you would think he's like this super intimidating guy, but he ends up being just like a really nice, like, just when he's working on music, the passion comes out.
What about Lloyd Banks?
You know what I mean?
Because I feel like he's like the undiscovered diva. Like he has his taste, but I don't feel like he got his just due. Like, is he lazy? Like, what's going on?
No, I don't know lately because I haven't been in the studio with those guys in like the longest time. But Banks is super cool, man. Like they're just all cool. Like Yayo is one of the coolest guys I've ever met.
Nah, he seemed cool.
He's an amazing person, So I don't know about lately, like what they've been doing. Like I saw Yayo and Banks probably like 2 years ago. That was the last time, but I'm sure they're working. So,
hey, listen, you never stop working.
Yeah.
You know what? I want to take a break, and then we're gonna come back. I want to go into the BLAP podcast that you do now.
Okay,
too.
cool.
You're doing Illmind's doing a bunch of fun.
I know, because Avian's on that Al.
Yes,
shout out to her.
Avian from the Engine Room. So listen, we want to hear more about some of the people you worked with. We want to hear about more Filipino stuff, Filipino food.
Yeah.
Anyway, internets, listen, grab yourself. Give me a Filipino snack or something. What is it?
Seaweed.
Let's not seaweed.
No, not seaweed. How dare you?
Let's go with lumpia.
Give me some lumpia.
That sounds like a good bud. Go get that lumpia, break it up real nice.
Get your lumpia and grab yourself something to drink. Don't go nowhere. You listen to the Premium P Show with Miss Listen Knows. Illmind's in the fucking building.
Yeah, boy.
Be right back.
Al.
Yo, check this out, man. It's Prodigy from the infamous Mobb Deep, the head nigga in charge, HNIC. You know what I'm saying? Repping that Queens, New York. Chilling, man, right now, man. Just kicking it, you know what I mean, with my homie Premium Pete. And this is the Premium Pete Show with Miss Listen Knows. You know what I'm saying? Now we do it, kid. Keep it locked right here. Don't go nowhere. Real shit, one.
Internets, and we're back. Saying here with Illmind. Illmind, listen, the journey of a Filipino is definitely different than most.
It's different than most. Yeah. It doesn't involve nursing or I'm not saying that.
And there's nothing wrong with being a nurse.
It's amazing, but yeah, definitely. I don't know. I feel very humbled.
No, and you know what? I always said it shows. Another thing I want to talk about is your BLAP Chat podcast.
Yes.
In this day where everyone is doing a podcast, again, I feel like you come with something different.
Yeah.
Tell us what the podcast is about.
So it's about music production. Surprise. Yeah. No. Listen. It's just a way for us to express our views and talk about everything and anything in music production. So it's for the music producer, up and coming or established. It's for audio engineers. It's for people who are just fascinated by the behind the scenes of how records are made. So I think, our show is part, our personalities, but it's also part educational.
Very informative.
And very informative. I mean, we always go out of our way every episode to talk about something relevant that has to do with the upcoming producer, whether it's networking or whether it's what music publishing is and what it means to sign a publishing deal. How do you make money as a music producer? What if I'm a music producer and I'm 17 years old and I have 100 beats in my hard drive that I made on Fruity Loops? Do I sell them for $20 a piece, or do I hold on to them and sell them for $5,000 later on when I'm more popular
and get credit for it?
And get credit for it. So
what do you do?
Exactly. Listen to BLAP Chat.
What episode is that? I want to know.
No, wait. There's a lot to know about.
There's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot of shit to talk about.
But what I wanted to, how long have you been doing it?
So when I first started it was called BLAP on the Radio.
Okay.
Right. And we started that back in 2011. I want to say. 2011 was the year that I started a bunch of shit. You know what I mean? So that was one of them. And then we transitioned into BLAP Chat last year. And so the BLAP Chat is like the new, like, rebranded show, and like the format's different. So.
And you tap. So what we have is 4 people.
Yes.
Right?
And I love that you brought some ladies in.
Yes.
Oh, we had to.
And a friend of ours, Perfection.
I'm
here.
Branding purposes, Perfection.
That's Perfection.
No.
Okay.
One thing I like about Perfection. I can't believe I'm calling her Perfection. But one thing I like about her is she's like you, even though she's young, and she's I feel like maybe a star in the making, like we were speaking about.
Yeah.
But she does like a lot of different things, and I think that's what success is growing up in these days in this industry. I feel like you just can't only do one thing.
Yeah,
and you got to be able to be good at a lot of things. Beats. Just your people skills, your branding skills, maybe manager skills, marketing skills.
Yeah. No, I say it all the time. Perfection is a superstar. I tell that all the time.
How did you guys meet?
We actually met here at the holiday party a couple years ago.
At Engine Room,
Yep, a couple years ago I met her, and then we just knew a lot of the same people. Looped back around, linked up with Atlas, and they linked up.
And who's the other person?
So it's me, Perfection, Atlas, The Plug, and Glam, who is an artist from the Bay Area. She lives here now, and she raps, she produces. She's got a very unique perspective on music too.
Yeah.
So
Glam's dope.
She's super dope.
Yeah, from a woman's perspective, what would you break down the BLAP Chat podcast as?
I mean, it's pretty much what Illmind said. It's very informative. It's for the music. It's the music producer community. So it just, it talks a lot about, how to make it in the industry, how to network, how to kind of take your creativity to the next level, how to learn. And, for me being an up-and-coming producer, it's very inspiring working with someone like Illmind, because a lot of the conversations that we have on the show, I take it in for myself. Especially being a female in the music industry. There's not a lot of, female music producers that are out there on the scene.
Yeah. I think there are a lot.
Who are? Do you know
I think
Missy, out there though,
there aren't too many out there, but I think they exist for sure. You know what I mean?
And I think it's growing.
It's definitely growing, and I think just to piggyback on what Perfection was saying with the podcast. We are sort of acting as a voice in a way, where it's we want to be the voice for you guys, the community, the producer community, because at this point in 2017, just based off of numbers and the way everything is just growing and growing, there's definitely more than 1 million producers globally, right? So more than 1 million, right? But there's probably the same amount of rappers that there are producers at this point. And I'm not even going to argue that. There is. So it's a huge fucking community. There's no voice. There's no union. There's no person taking control and championing and educating the community, right? So for what it's worth, we want BLAP Chat to be that voice for us. You know what I'm saying? So.
And that's why I respect what Illmind does, because he takes, the producer community and he's growing it, even from doing a podcast to doing BLAP kits and doing events. That's very important. Like he said, the producer community it hasn't had a voice in a long time. And now in 2017, the way music's shifting, you see a lot of different platforms talking about how this production was made, how this song was made. And it's interesting because I don't know if you spoke about the exclusive
I didn't, not
episode,
yet.
But exclusive actually was the one that produced All the Way Up. So just in conversation with him, we figured out if he didn't go through the circumstances that he went through, he would have never produced that song, and it would have never been a #1 hit. And the artists on it would have never charted or been nominated for a Grammy. So just to hear those stories is very inspiring, and it's important, in the music industry.
Yeah, and he is the nucleus.
Yeah, and I think what's more important is that just people get a chance to learn something. Because I think, to be honest with you, we live in a world where many people don't know as much as they believe that they do.
True.
Right.
And it's crazy, but it's right out in Front Street for you.
Yep.
You could listen to an episode of whatever that you're really into, and you could learn so much.
Yeah,
I'm sure producers that's the thing. It's funny because it's even me. Being around for a long time, I don't know a lot of things about producing and how they get credit or how the beat or how this happens. It's funny when you mentioned before that you got an email from Def Jam.
Yeah,
I've heard that from multiple producers, but I never knew that I guess they do the work to get you your production credits.
Sure.
So then I guess you could go through ABSCAP or
I mean, it would be a situation where your lawyer would step in and they would kind of
But I'm saying somebody like me who really don't pay attention to that side would never know. So I think it's important, not only about just the BLAP Chat podcast, just to have people who are doing this type of stuff to be able to teach
It's very
people.
important. I mean, think about it. Being a music producer is one of the few careers in the world where you are an entrepreneur and you're literally a one-man team. And on top of all that shit, there's pretty much zero resources out there when you really think about it. I mean, you can go to school for medicine. You can learn how to be a rapper and get a deal, right? You can go to school for this and gather information. But there's nothing out there for music production, literally.
Right.
Like, what if you're, like I said, you're a 17-year-old kid making beats on Fruity Loops, and then Gucci Mane uses one of your beats? What the fuck do you do?
Right.
Like, do you sit there and say, okay, I'm going to get paid? No, you're not going to get paid. First of all, you need an attorney to go over a contract, which, by the way, the contract is going to be very shit. I'm not talking bad on Gucci. I'm just talking in general.
Right, in general.
The contract will be shitty because that's just the way it is. And if you don't know any better, you're going to sign it and you're not going to do the right thing and you're going to get fucked for your publishing. So, and that happens every day, man. Someone gets fucked over because it's a kid who's willing to say yes to give me $500 for a beat cash, and the project ends up selling 1 million units.
Yeah. Or just not even knowing the business side of it. You know, there are a lot of young producers who know the creative side of it, but they're not focused on the business side of it, so they get lost.
Yeah, and literally there's no resources. I mean, you have BLAP Chat, and then you have like, YouTube.
What about
YouTube.
You're right. There's not many, but what about even what's this kid's name? I Standard. Don't he do?
I Standard. Shout to Jay Hatch and Don.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean they do like the beat battle. They're in the beat battle circuit, and they do panels.
You did
and all
a BLAP,
that.
I think, with I Standard, right?
I did. Yeah, I've judged a few of their showcases.
Yeah.
So shout to them. They're contributing to the hip hop the producer community for sure. But and they've played their role. But there's no, even outside of them. It's just like. There's no education. Yeah. There's none.
It's funny because you look at somebody like Just Blaze, and he speaks about how he had a handshake deal at Rockefeller, which is fucking amazing to me.
Crazy.
That he was able to get all his credits and everything, because you don't find that often that day.
Yeah.
Like in a day where you just shake your hand with somebody, like money's the root of all evil, to where when it comes to that situation, everything gets fucked the fuck up most of the times.
Yeah.
So anyway, to learn about that, especially for young people, I think that's important. Now, does it come out every week, BLAP Chat?
Yeah, we do it every week. We do it every week. We're on iTunes, SoundCloud, the whole thing. But if you want to know more about it, just in general, just go to blapchat.com.
Now, Perfection? It's funny, I'm still calling you Perfection. But
I know.
I know.
In this room.
When we were acting and her name was Sandra.
Sandra Bullock.
It's funny that
who
I'm
are you
calling
fucking
Sandra.
with as far as being younger, than Illmind, being an upcoming producer, being someone who loves music, particularly
being a
hip-hop?
nice lady.
What artists are you fucking with?
Artists? I mean, I like the most common, obviously, Drake. I think Drake's amazing. I think, he got it. Me personally, I don't hate anything he does. I think what he's doing, it works for him. Kendrick Lamar is great. Some of the younger cats are interesting to me. Let's see. I like Dave East. Dave East is cool.
Shout out to Dave.
Shout out to Dave, for sure. There's so many people that I can name. A lot of people nowadays, we talk about the state of music, with all of the mumble rapping and all the young artists. But there are a couple artists that catch my attention. I like Lil Uzi Vert. I like his energy. I think there's something fun about him. His records are dope. Obviously, when people are comparing the young rappers to the old school rappers, the MCs, music's different nowadays, and there's nothing wrong with that. So I like Lil Uzi Vert, Drake, Kendrick, Dave East, Manolo Rose is cool. Who else? There's so many people.
I like the kid Russ.
Really?
Russ is amazing.
Where's he from?
Where's
Jersey.
Russ from? Is he from Jersey?
Yeah.
Oh, hey.
Look at that.
Jersey.
Hometown.
Yeah, Russ. I forgot about Russ. Just trying to think off top, but I actually saw Russ at Webster Hall.
Okay.
And it was very interesting because it was sold out. All of his fans knew every word. And dedicated. And he kind of was throwing shots because he's like, these influencer folks in New York, they're very and, you hear a lot of artists say this, even Joey Badass with like radio and things like that, but the influencers only get on your wave when it's a wave.
Sure,
right?
sure.
So, he was criticizing that. Like, I've been on, like, look at my fans. They're reciting music that's from 2013. So that's like real love. But, you know, he keeps going and he does what he has to do. His shows sell out. His music's amazing. So I fuck with Russ for sure.
That's so interesting, though, like the whole conversation of like getting on the wave when it's like popular.
Yeah.
But like that's human nature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so
Some
it's
people-
a very
some-
delicate,
yeah.
you know, like human beings aren't going around and saying, yo, you're dope because you're dope. Let me just like co-sign things that are not as poppin'. Right.
But I think in the industry is a little weird because
It's
you do
weird.
have certain people that will like shade you, and then once
True.
everyone like rides
true.
with you,
Yeah,
it's
then
like
they jump
okay,
on.
you're
Then they
cool.
jump on.
So it's like I get that in a sense, you know what I mean? Like, and it's true. There's been artists that I didn't really pay attention to, but once they were out there more, I was like, oh, okay, like now I'm listening because you're in my face.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
But-
and there's some people I think that have the vision to see somebody become stuff, and there's some people who just didn't even
Yeah.
realize. I mean, there's
Yeah.
people around that you see people like, you know, you ask them like, what did you think? You think Big had it? And people say, oh yeah, he had it. You know, but some
Right.
people may not know. You know, it's almost like I give an example. Like I think it's like something like Ed Woods. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's a lawyer, Ed Woods.
Oh, yeah, I'm familiar.
You know, actually used to be a lawyer
He
with
was just
Combat.
on Love and Hip Hop.
Ed Woods.
Yeah, he's
You
a
know who
love and
that
hip hop.
is.
No, but listen, one thing about Ed Woods, I say, he's the kind of person, I remember him saying something one time where it's like, we were talking about something like, you know, where we were trying to get money for some sponsor, and say we said, oh, we'd like to get, you know, just say $50,000. And he's like, no, I think we should get $1 million. And we're like, what the fuck, are you crazy? But you need someone like that
Yeah.
to
Push
you know,
you.
push and see the vision. And then when he comes back with $1 million, you're like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
you know, because sometimes I think some people, they don't want to step on, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
So when you talk about getting in the wave, you know, I think it's like it's a
Yeah.
balance that you
Yeah.
have
It's
to be in.
interesting, even that conversation with the artist like Lil Yachty. A lot of people like don't like him. They don't like what he represents. A lot of people feel like his image is forced, especially with like his new album. A lot of people were criticizing his album artwork because it's like, okay, they feel like the industry folks are just pushing that image because it's going to work. It's like,
Right.
okay, you're talking about like, you know, male on male relationships. You're talking about people with insecurity. And I think that's dope. I feel like
I
if
think
you
he's the
embrace
voice
that, it's
of
great.
the outcast.
Right.
And didn't he have two guys kissing on his album cover?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. A lot of
Yeah.
people were criticizing him for it,
Since
and they felt
2017.
like they felt
Right.
like it wasn't authentic. They felt
Yeah.
like the industry insiders were pushing that because that's the image that
trending.
people want to see.
Yo, I found myself
crazy.
the other day singing that song, I Spy. Running down.
Yeah,
And I was like,
with Kyle.
yeah, and I was like, what the fuck am I
Yeah.
doing? But I like it. Yeah,
Catchy.
brainwash.
Yeah,
Brainwash.
yeah.
No, you know what, Illmind, take us down to when you know were with Sha Money, right?
Mm-hmm.
You were making music for who? The whole G Unit.
Yeah, it was Unit.
So
Yeah.
so 50.
Yeah, that was around the time when like Mobb Deep joined
Yep,
the label and like MOP. So it was a lot of like them too. But yeah, for the most part.
Did
it
you
was
have
them.
being that you were signed to Sha Money? Did you have access to when these guys were doing an album?
Yeah. We had first dibs. So
Okay.
it was like me, Jake One, High Tech, Black Jeruz, I want to say, a couple other people, The Business. Yeah. So yeah.
What was their creative process like?
Just making beats. It was honestly just making beats and sending them over to Sha. That was it. I was in the cave. I was in. I was just like.
Are you the kind of
zoned
person
in.
that like goes in the house, doesn't shave, not changing clothes, just making beats, figuring out sounds? That's you.
Well, I don't grow facial hair, so I don't shave.
Filipino.
'Cause I'm Filipino, but pretty much. You know what I mean. Wake up, make beats, and then go to sleep. It was literally just, and it wasn't good for me personally. Like I put everything else on the back burner and just focused on that. And I guess it, obviously worked out. But those were the grind days, man.
Yeah.
Do you
for
have any
sure.
regrets?
I don't have any regrets. No, I don't have any regrets.
That's good.
That's good.
Avian, with you being a lady.
Perfection.
Girl, I'm sorry because people perfections with that timestamp. Perfection. Who are your musical influences? Like we talked about the people you like now, but like making your beats like on the come up. Like who did you look up to?
Swiss Beats, especially
Oh,
being
yeah.
that he's like from the Bronx. I'm from the Bronx, so
Right.
it's inspiring to see that someone where I'm from can make it and, just take their skills to the next level and just do bigger and better things. Kanye West, of course, Timbaland. I think Timbo's great. I'm excited to see him and Pharrell, go at it. Pharrell, of course, those were like my top, I'd say, that.
What? Super producers.
Yeah, I mean, they are super producers.
Yeah.
I mean,
and even the young cats now, are very inspiring to me. I like what they're doing, like Metro Boomin. Even a lot of the producers that we talk to, it's inspiring for me because, they're relatable. Mm-hmm. A lot of the conversations that we have with them, even like what Illmind was touching on, a couple of minutes ago, is like sleeping in the studio, staying up all night, like, not paying attention to anything else that's going on in your life but your goal. And, sometimes that can get tough, but hearing, their stories and seeing how they just kept pushing and how they made it is very inspiring. So
what keeps you like going? Because like at face value, like you see like perfection. Mm-hmm. She's already pretty. She already worked as a manager at Engine Room. Like you don't have to be making beats, and it's already hard for a lady anyway. So why do it?
I think it's a passion. I love music. I'm more technical. I've never seen myself as an artist as far as like singing or rapping, so the technical aspect of creating a song I'm passionate about that. And I don't necessarily look at it as like, well, I'm a female in the industry. I acknowledge it, but to me, that doesn't push me back because I don't think being a female or male to me kind of really dictates how hard you work. You know what I mean? So
if anything, they'll remember you. It's just like being Asian.
Right.
We and you are minorities in this, by the way.
Right.
So
we really are.
For me, just, seeing the people that I'm around and hearing their stories kind of just motivates me because, again, it's relatable. We talk to a lot of producers, even Illmind, every time we have a conversation. It's just like, people were in the same predicament as I was, and they overcame that. So as long as you keep going and you believe in yourself and you surround yourself with the right people, you're going to win.
Yeah,
true that.
No, I agree.
I always mention, like, I had a conversation with Angie Martinez, about a year and a half ago. And I asked her, like, what keeps you going? What keeps you motivated? Because, like, life is tough.
Sure.
You can be motivated and happy every day, but there's shit that will really bring you down. And we're human, and that's normal. So, I asked her, like, what keeps you going? And she's like, there's no other option.
Yeah.
And I always think of that. There is no other option. It's either you win or you fail. And
there's no plan B.
Yeah, it's plan A. And, for me, it's like I can't give up because I can't see myself in the future like, okay, yeah, well, I just gave up because I got lazy.
Right, it was hard.
And it's important that you mention that too, because it's like people look at you to do one thing what they believe in. Like, for instance, they think of like, I want to hear a beat that Illmind makes. They don't give a fuck if you're depressed, or they don't give a fuck. And not to say that they have to care.
Or that they have to know.
Exactly. But what I'm saying is people don't realize that, maybe your aunt passed away. Somebody was very close to you and she used to make you lumpier.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Exactly.
Shout out to Aunt Cornels.
Yeah, Cornels.
And those kind of things
Tito.
can inspire you to even work more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those are the moments. I remember like 2 months ago, there was like I don't know where I seen it, but there was a topic that we were talking about that I don't know if you didn't like producers to sell beats to indie artists.
Yeah.
Tell me about this shit.
I went on a little rant.
Yeah.
What happened?
That kind of went
What
a little...
happened?
It went a little far.
What happened on mine?
On Twitter. I just wanted to speak my mind one day, so I was just saying, like, I went on Twitter and I basically said, all you producers who are selling your beats for 99 cents, like, and $20 and $30, the message behind it was that you're undervaluing yourself and you're basically just doing it for the money, right? So imagine a scenario, right, where you're a producer and you're selling beats $20 here, $50 here, $100 here, maybe even $500 here, and you're selling these at frequency so often, and you're making like $2,000-$3,000 a month, right? So on paper, that's like, whoa, this is great. Like, I'm a music producer, I'm making beats full time, I'm paying my rent, I'm paying my phone bill with the shit, but I'm selling my beats to a bunch of struggle rappers. So 90% of the the rappers that I'm selling my beats to, I hate. I'm not a fan of.
Right.
I'm not co-signing that shit. Like, if they put the song out with my beat on it, like, I'm not going to retweet that. I'm not going to put it on my Instagram. I'm not proud of that song, but I took your money. You know what I'm saying? And I'm doing it. So basically what I was saying was, if you continue to do that, you're going to reach a point in your life where 2 years go by, 3 years go by, and what do you have to show? Literally, think about it. Right. What do you have to show? I mean, you've been able to do it full time, which is great, but like,
your body of work is trash.
Your body of work is trash. Your legacy is trash for the most part so far.
Do people get mad at you?
Well, so yeah. So basically, what I said was the whole point of producing music is that you have a passion, you want to be great.
Right.
But at the end of the day, what I've researched through my Twitter, research, was that not everyone wants to be great.
Yeah.
People out there are content with,
mediocrity,
paying their rent and providing beats to struggle rappers. Mm-hmm. Someone's got to do it. I'm not doing it, right? Perfection's not doing it, but like, someone's got to do it, and they're banking off of it. I mean, there's guys out there that are literally making 6 figures a year from selling beats to struggle rappers. I'm not mad at it. Mm-hmm. All I'm saying is that it's probably going to be hard for you to be great. Mm-hmm. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and I always say, like, we've had this conversation several times on BLAP Chat, aside from, his Twitter rant, because he did get a lot of feedback. So we brought that conversation onto BLAP Chat. And I think, again, it's all about your vision, your goal, the bigger picture. A lot of us, producers up and coming or established, we see the bigger picture. We want to work with A-list artists. We want to develop artists to reach that level. So we have the passion to work towards that. And, sometimes in the beginning, you got to do what you got to do. It's kind of like, you want to be an entrepreneur, but you still got to work a 9 to 5 in the beginning to save money and invest in yourself. So it's understandable if you do sell beats, in the beginning. But what's the ultimate goal? Like he said, are you selling them at $20 or $10 to make money? Then that's what you want to do. But ultimately, you want to see the bigger picture. You want your music to be charting. You want to win a Grammy.
Sure, you want to make real money.
So I think it just depends on your vision. I think the music producer community, there's a lot of producers out there that want to see the bigger picture. You want to get a placement with Drake. You want to be on Kendrick's new album. But there's some people that are just like, man, I'm just throwing 100 beats out a day and getting $20. This is paying my bills. I don't even care.
Listen, if you make beats and you're selling beats to struggle rappers and you claim that you don't want to be great, first of all, you shouldn't be doing it. Yeah. Second of all, you're lying. Mm-hmm. If you're passionate about making beats and making music and being a producer, you want to be great. Yeah. You want the fucking Grammy. Right. You want to work with Jay-Z and Drake and develop artists and build your legacy. You want to. I hope you do. Because if you don't, why the fuck are you doing it?
Right. You can just get a regular job. See,
think about it.
When we have these conversations and we've seen people like on social media selling beats for like 99 cents. That's like a waste of time. You're wasting more money.
Chips.
You're wasting more money.
Not even.
Like sitting
chips
at
are
home.
like $2 now.
Yeah.
$1.49.
Not
$1.49,
even a pack
right?
of M&Ms. Like, you're wasting more money sitting at
99
home.
cents.
Buying. Like, you're buying gear and all this shit to make your beats. That's way more expensive than a 99 cents beat.
Yeah, and
so what's the point?
I get it. Even I'm obviously
they thinking like a million people gonna buy that one trash beat.
Yeah, but I get it because it's like somebody has to say something to protect the culture of producing or the producer community, so to speak. I feel like you're trying to be a shop steward. You know what I mean? Like and really just protect, because there is a higher level available, and things like that could hurt it.
Yeah, I think it also comes down to the relationships you have and the people around you. Because I think a lot of people that and a lot of people that I know aren't selling beats for $20 or $10. I think those are people that are maybe trying to make it and aren't networking, and they're just like on Instagram posting clips of like Drake type beat, sell it for $20, and they don't know how to really push their music or network to get to the next level. I see that a lot with, I could be wrong, but I see that a lot with young producers that are just kind of like what we call bedroom producers, where they're just at home knocking out beats, but they're not networking to get to the next level.
Sure. Yeah. And I think that's important to have a mentor. Mm-hmm. I think in anything you do, I think you should try to And you don't force it, but I think you should try to find a mentor in whatever you do, because I think that it will help lead you to the place that people are more experienced, and that people could,
cheat code.
Yeah, people could, I guess, put you in a better situation than you couldn't imagine. You know what I mean? And let you know. Think about it. How many times you can ask somebody like, I was getting it for $50. Just say, I'm not talking about beat anything. Right. And somebody like, you go down the block, they have it for here. Yep. You get more insight being around people with the same common dream.
Yeah. When we toss around the word like industry, right? Yeah. That what we're referring to is a person, like people. Like when they say, the label this, label that. It's a fucking person, right? Like that says yes or no. So, like, at the end of the day, like, when I kind of realized that, when you realize that everything is just a person behind that thing, like then you realize how important it is to just have relationships.
Now, what are you working on now for the people to know?
Man, a bunch of stuff.
Movie credits too, right?
Just did some stuff for the Power Rangers movie.
Really?
Did a song on the Moana movie from Disney. Yeah, shout to Lin-Manuel and my man Jordan Fisher. Shout to Ken Bunt, president of Disney. Got you, bro.
We need SeaWorld tickets.
I gotta go to Disney World one day soon. So yes, more movie stuff. Working with Lin-Manuel, for the guy, for those who don't know at this point, the guy who created Hamilton on Broadway. He's over in London right now working on a project. So he's coming back. And
how'd you hook up with him?
So I linked up with Lin. So it's a funny story. So me and Joel Ortiz, one of the greatest rappers of all time.
Shout out to him.
Bars.
Bars, Yawa. We put out an album called Human back in 2015, and that was the year that Hamilton hit Broadway. So Lin-Manuel being the Puerto Rican, and Joel being Puerto Rican too, Joel Ortiz was like one of his favorite rappers, like by far. So Lin caught wind of the album, loved the album. I started following him on Twitter. He followed me back, DM'd me, and me and Lin just connected from there. And he was
power
just
of
like,
fucking social media.
That was it. And then from there, it came full circle. He was working on a Hamilton mixtape. We started doing that. I knew the A&Rs at Atlantic already, and the rest was history. So, yeah.
Tell you, your career has been built on a lot of social media connections, bro.
Yeah. I mean, listen, it's like I said, it's all relationships. Yeah. Like I'm getting a plaque for a Disney soundtrack. It's like Illmind.
That's crazy,
right? And the only reason why that happened is because of my relationship with Lin-Manuel, right? And that would have never happened if it wasn't for me and Joel doing that album together, right? So it's all these things that kind of interconnect, and that's what we talk about on our podcast a lot. But the thing that I think producers who are trying to make it don't understand is that shit takes time, and it starts with a person. So like one person could lead to another person that's going to change your life. And I remember when I got that call for the Disney thing, it was just like Lin hit me and he's like, I'm doing this thing for Disney and it's like this new movie and they're working on the soundtrack and like I want you to work on it. And I was like, cool, let's do it. And like, listen, there's thousands of other producers that could have had that opportunity and knocked it out the ballpark, but he chose me because of our relationship. You know what I mean? And that's it.
That's amazing. And congrats for that. Congrats
for
that.
You.
Now on Twitter, you're Illmind straight up?
Illmind producer, one word.
And Instagram?
Instagram, same thing. Facebook, Illmind the producer. And then just illmindproducer.com.
And what about you, Perfection?
Love Perfection.
Okay. Love Perfection.
Yeah.
There you go. What about you, Atlas?
Atlas the Plug.
Atlas the Plug.
Follow Atlas the Plug.
Atlas the Plug is part of the Roseville music group.
But I guess wait. So what? What else are we working on? You asked me what else we were working on. So more BLAP Chat episodes. I started a party called the 80-20 party.
What does that mean?
So it's just like I guess it's not so much like the BLAP showcase, but it's more of just like a DJ party, regular party thing. So it's called 80-20 party, and it's happening once a month. So we have our next one actually this week. I don't know when you guys are putting this up, but it's on the 27th of April. And
what does 80-20 mean?
So 80-20 is like an industry standard thing, with the whole 80-20 percentage split.
Oh, okay.
And so it's really up for interpretation, honestly.
I thought you meant like 80-20, 80 women versus men.
It could be. It could
okay,
be.
less sausage fest. I'll be there.
Yeah, it could be. So yeah, we're doing more parties and then just more cool shit. And then on the music side, we just put out the Gucci record, me, Murder Beats, and TM88 from 808 Mafia. We did this song called Coachella. And then more work with Murder Beats, more stuff with Boy Wonder.
More
just collaborating. I'm collaborating
more tune for your top head.
More tune. I'm collaborating with a lot of producers right now. And I'm also working on something pretty cool that I literally can't say right now because I'll literally
fuck you.
It'll literally
major.
like ruin the entire thing.
Nah,
but
it's
it's I think this is probably gonna be my biggest year for sure.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
Well, listen. First of all, I want to say thanks for stopping by.
Dude,
And
thank you guys for having me.
No, definitely. Listen, I always enjoyed, like I said, your just pureness. And I'm proud, and I love to see, somebody like from a, like we spoke about a Filipino descent, where his mother and father are like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're like, being able to provide for them or being able to do things for them. Even like, I remember even like, I'm thinking of Angela Yee right now because I just seen her in the fucking studio. I remember her talking about, buying a car for her father.
Yeah.
Her father being like, yeah, you're on the radio. But like, what radio? What's that? Like, I'm like, not even understanding the power. And then she like bought him a car. Like, and he was like, it's not only about money. It's just the point of being able
impact,
to,
it's pretty remarkable
of what your hard work could do. And even not only that, even putting other people on.
Yeah.
Having people in your group be able to eat off of you.
Yeah, listen, let me say something. For as long as I've been doing this, and I feel like I'm just getting started, I'm still like super young in this. I feel thankful that I started at a very young age. But, like every day that I've done this, I've never thought about the money. It was always, how am I going to pay the rent this month, right? And it always worked out. And I know that sounds crazy, but I do believe that is the key to unlocking greatness and unlocking in abundance of money and success. I think the key to unlocking that is doing the opposite, which is not thinking about money at all and just thinking about what drives you and what motivates you and what your passion is, and then just tapping directly into that, and it'll always work out. And the money becomes secondary. I know that sounds crazy, but like when you have a ton of money, it just, the money doesn't even fucking matter.
Yeah.
It really doesn't.
And I think having patience, kind of like what you said earlier, is things take time.
Yep.
So, it's just understanding that as long as you keep working and you go hard, it's going to happen.
Yeah. No, time isn't everything. And I'll tell you one thing, you have done a lot for the producer community. Young people coming up to learn, to be, educated, and really, with these BLAP kids, really, open your own lane. So I salute you for that.
Yeah.
I wish you the best.
Thank you so much,
yeah.
Pete. Thank you guys so much, man. I really appreciate it.
But listen, internet, check for Illmind, check for the BLAP Chat podcast with Illmind, Perfection, Atlas to plug.
Yeah.
And the
Glam.
And Glam. What up, Glam?
Shout out to Glam. She's dope, man.
Glam is
She's
dope.
amazing.
Listen, and all the other producers, I think there's a lot to learn from this episode. Just, like I said, there's a lot of gems in here, but I think there's more so just, the journey is what's inspiring.
It's the journey.
So check for Illmind. Listen, he's on fucking Power Ranger movies, this fucking guy.
Yeah, he's popping.
Filipino
On
mom's going to
Broadway.
come after him.
He's on Broadway.
Internet, see you next episode.
Later.
Yeah.